Merry Christmas!
It is Friday the 29th of December. Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan, and thank you for joining us for our final broadcast of 2023. We've got an extended weather forecast today for you, going out 10 days, and I think for many of you going away on holiday in New Zealand, the forecast is looking pretty good. If you're heading off to Eastern Australia, pack your raincoat. Let's have a look and see what's going on at the moment. So we do have some rain coming in for the final days of 2023, and wouldn't that be, fairly apt considering the year that we've just had. So we end on a wet note, but 2024 kicks off on a dry note. Remember that thing we've been talking about this year called El Nino? Well, you're going to start to notice more of that weather pattern arriving as we go into January with a lot of high pressure parked out over here. But for now, on the Friday, the last one of December, we can see a southerly flow coming into Australia, but for most of New Zealand, there is a subtropical flow, or at least over the North Island. Elsewhere over the South Island, you've got a warm nor'wester, so it's still not cold. But that North Island airflow, windiest through Cook Strait and up here around East Cape, that is subtropical. That's why it is more humid and why we're seeing some big downpours around on Friday and then again coming in for New Year's Eve. Let's have a look at the forecast now. So here we are on Saturday. It is still humid, subtropical air coming from Norfolk Island and further to the north and down over the North Island. Elsewhere, it is more of a nor'wester. So either way, Saturday is a warm day right around the country with a few heavy falls still carrying on around the Eastern Bay of Plenty. There might be an isolated thunderstorm still in the mix. Meanwhile, Tasmania, southerly change coming through for them, a cold Saturday on the way for some locations. Now, as we go through to New Year's Eve, here we are, December 31st, this coming Sunday, there is the cold front moving up and into the North Island. This is 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. So, Sunday night is looking a little wet as that system moves through. A mixture of drizzle patches, dry spells, and downpours, the 3 Ds. And that's what we've got going on for Friday as well, with those three things happening. Now, the eastern side of the country, mostly dry. There will be a bit of spillover at times, but mostly dry around New Zealand along that eastern side. But certainly, as we go into the very last day of the year, there will be wet weather around. And the blue line here shows a colder change coming in. So the lower South Island won't be the warmest on New Year's Eve or when you wake up on New Year's Day. But look, here is the change to our weather pattern. We've been talking a lot about what El Nino does to our weather, and it certainly doesn't always do what we expect. When we say El Nino brings dry weather, that's based on historically what has happened. It doesn't lock it in with a guarantee. And what we're seeing in Australia is a really unusual El Nino weather pattern. A lot of wet weather for the eastern side of Australia for the next 2 weeks ahead, not just the week ahead, but right through to the middle of January. But for New Zealand, big block of high pressure coming out of the Southern Ocean over Tasmania. And this is what we get for New Year's Day, a southwest flow, a little bit cooler in the morning, and that humidity, it takes a break. So let's go across next week because there's not a lot to talk about in New Zealand. High pressure over the top of us for Tuesday. Still got a southwesterly, so if you live in Auckland or if you're around Kawhia, Raglan or Taranaki, there might be an isolated shower or two, maybe a little bit cloudy, but hottest and driest weather will be inland and leaning to the east. No real change on Wednesday, a couple of showers here and there, otherwise generally a southwesterly flow, high pressure parked nearby, plenty of heavy showers and thunderstorms moving down towards Melbourne. As we go through to Thursday, there is low pressure parked over the eastern side of Australia, but high pressure carries on for us, mostly dry around the country. Again, a couple of showers. El Nino weather pattern typically isn't the best for western parts of the country because you get more cloud. And most New Zealanders, despite living in the land of the long white cloud, don't seem to particularly like a lot of cloudy weather. So hopefully, if it's with the high pressure nearby, a lot of sun should still be coming through at this time of the year. But just be prepared for a bit of cloud around the outer edges of that high. And obviously, the further south you go, we've got some rain on Thursday of next week. Now that sends up a very weak cold front. Very weak here on Friday. So it moves up Canterbury. You'll get a few showers. Maybe next Friday doesn't look overly warm. You'll have our forecast for that now if you want to take a look at Rural Weather or Weather Watch. It won't be freezing. It's just a little bit of a change coming through with a few showers. Mostly dry over the North Island. That is high pressure right there. Very different story over in Sydney. Raining and a cooler southeasterly blowing through for them. So by Saturday of next weekend, there is that cold front. So it's not much of one, and typical in El Nino summer, high pressure is out here to the west. So that encourages a southwesterly flow. Again, more cloud and showers along the western side of New Zealand. Auckland is west, so Auckland can be quite cloudy in an El Nino summer, so just preparing you for that. And then as we move through to next Sunday, this big high, parked near Tasmania, stretches all the way up, keeps that rain stuck over Sydney, which they'll probably be a little frustrated with. But for New Zealanders, apart from it being a little bit colder next weekend with that southerly flow around, we've got high pressure rolling back in again. So, really right through to the second week of January, we are seeing a lot of high pressure either very close to us or potentially moving in over us. Still a few showers, still coastal clouds around, but as you can see, we've got a lot more high pressure on the way, very different to where we've been over the last couple of, months really, but the last few weeks in particular. Let's have a look at the rainfall. Mostly this weekend, you're seeing some heavier falls around the North Island. 60 to 80 millimetres of rain is possible. Some of those heavy, slow-moving downpours. Elsewhere, though, not a huge amount of rain, especially in the east here. Just a couple of showers. So that's just for the next 3 days from Friday morning. And this is the big rainfall map right through until January the 8th. 10 days of rain. And the blue and the green you see over here is right at the bottom of the scale. So eastern areas of New Zealand not seeing a huge amount of rain. Neither is the north. From about Auckland northwards, you're into that sort of 15 millimetre mark. And that's over 10 days, and most of that is falling this weekend. So hopefully that's a pretty good forecast for many of you. The west coast got the bulk of the rain, talking about up to 150 millimetres or more for Fiordland, but only 50 or 60 millimetres further to the north. And it's a similar story in the darker shading here, which, like I say, mostly is falling either today or across this final weekend of 2023. Well, that is all from me. We are back again around about the middle of January. All that high pressure rolling in, probably a very good time for a weather forecaster to take a break. So we are away for about 2 weeks. We don't have a set date coming back in, but around about the middle of January, and we'll give you an update closer to the time. If anything major pops up, like a tropical cyclone, there's a good chance we'll jump back in the studio and cover that. But for now, the next 14 days, apart from that rain stuck over here in Australia, where they've got a couple of 100 millimetres on the way, many places are fairly traditional for this time of the year. Thank you so much for all your support this year. It has been a tough year weather-wise for many of you. I hope that you have a great and safe summer. Happy New Year to you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Merry Christmas!